Wee Simon's penchant for buying games hand over fist has not stopped. And I doubt if 2018 will bring it to a close. In fact, the only thing that seems to stop Simon buying games is the gap between paydays. You know? However, every now and again he gets one that's actually quite good and we enjoy. And yeah, it's been a while since there's been a video, because there's been a while since there's been anything we felt warranted making one about. We could have done some mad dog sitting around talking, but to be honest we weren't in the mood, so we didn't. Simon cannot be with me tonight, unfortunately. He is otherwise occupied. I have Fallout from Fantasy Flight Games here. You will note this is sealed. Fear not. This is the second copy of it. We have one open. We've played it. We've played it several times and really enjoyed it. So we thought, yeah, we need to do something with it on video, don't we? So we will. But I'm not going to sit here and just talk about it. I'm going to stop talking and we'll do that whole camera down thing. It's an unboxing, but it will also be able to keep saying we, and I keep forgetting it's really just me. But we'll also be able to sort of chat to you about how it works, give you an idea of the mechanics, and already I can tell you, if you don't want to watch anymore, it's a thumbs up. It gets the WeeGamers thumbs up. Get it and play it, have fun. Meanwhile, if you're unsure, stay tuned, get a look at the components, and listen to me ramble on about how it works together, because it was actually Roger read the rules and I played in the game, and I'm going to run what I remember. Yay. So, no expense spared these days. Look at the workbench we've got. Tatty and well loved, but it suffices for what we need. So, here is Fallout. Do you want to see the back of the box? Here's the back of the box. Now, I'm really excited about the fact that it includes 5 plastic figures. When was the last time you got a game that only included 5 plastic figures? It's all you need. I dare say it's the sort of thing they might do expansions for. Maybe even bring out more missions, more scenarios, and little plastic opponents. These are the playing pieces, these are the player characters, and these are the guys that you can be on the board. 1 to 4 players, 5 pieces, gives you a bit of a choice. So there you go. Exciting times. It sounds sarcastic, and actually this is one that we like, but then we're normally sarcastic, aren't we? So the theme does follow through as you would expect. So you've got sort of the manuals done with that sort of throwback retro look to it, as you can see by the likes of the artwork and that. So the kind of the educational videos that you would have seen in the Fallout games is represented here by what goes on. There is a fair bit to the rules. There's not a mad amount of components. I mean, we always sort of give a bit of a slagging to Fantasy Flight for the amount of tokens and everything else you get. This is fairly low in them, to be honest, thankfully, because there's enough going on with what you do get. Now it is shrink wrap still at the minute. I'm going to be taking all this off, so I'll be cutting and chopping and changing with the footage as it goes. So there's a fair wad of tiles there. The tokens are bottle caps. They have a 1 bottle cap value and a 5 bottle cap value. Use these in the game in the trading phase. There's little tokens that form the word special. We'll come to that later, but that's kind of how you track your XP. And then there's location tiles which form the map of the playing area. As you explore, they get revealed, things like that there. And then there's character boards where you'll track your experience, you'll track your health, you'll track your radiation, and there's slots for putting in the cards for equipment that you'll find. But again, we'll show those later on. Things like the stars and the shields will be used in the game to represent characters that you can find on the board, or locations, or the sort of the motivations of the 2 opposing factions within each story. So there is a very much a sort of a choose your own adventure element to it, which is a bit complicated the first time we done it, but it makes complete sense and it flows very well. And these are just used to represent the different factions that you'll encounter in the wasteland, and where they are and what they're doing, or things that they own. And then there's tokens not shown there. Oh, there we go. There's tokens for the NPCs that you'll meet, and all your favourites there, all the kind of characters you'll recognise and are represented. Killing these is worth experience. They get you experience points. Sometimes they'll get you stuff as well. You'll find things, and the combat dice system mimics the VAT system in Fallout, where you'll roll the dice and you're trying to roll body locations for shooting the characters, and you have to hit them in certain body locations in order to win them or kill them. Speaking of that, then there are the dice, and you'll see the little locations in those. There's little cogs in them. These are used for different things in the game depending on what you're rolling for, but again we'll point that out later. And the little plugs there are used in the cards for marking health and radiation and experience. A couple of fairly decent wads of cards. These form primarily the story deck. So as you're exploring the wasteland, there are story options come into play, and how you interact with characters gives you a choice 1, choice 2, choice 3 sometimes. Whether you are vilified or hero worship, things like that there, will also affect the choices you can make. So it does a fairly good job of trying to mimic the effects in the game. Most of the cards are numbered as well, and as you complete certain parts of the adventure, you'll be told when you read the bottom of the card to pull out, card 35 and card 147, which will then continue the story on as you try to explore it. And then, of course, it wouldn't be Fantasy Flight without the little cards. The little cards sort of mark your renown. They are used for equipment. There's equipment cards, things that you can buy, things that you'll find, and your perks. The perks are in there too, and we'll try and cover all that for you shortly. And then there's the little models. We did put some photographs of these up on WeeGamers page. They're nice models. They're a bit bigger than 28mm in case you're interested. There's Modiphius is doing the 28mm sort of range of miniatures in them, but they are nice. They are what they are. They look well detailed, simple plastic, but they do the job. These then bigger cards are both the scenario cards with kind of the opening plot and what factions are involved, and they also give you the map setup for what way to put the tiles at the start of the game and what tiles are revealed as you're starting areas and things like that. And that's it. That's the box empty. Please stand by. Okay, so here's kind of a little mock setup, as if we were playing the game type of thing. Clearly, maybe not clearly to you, but I'll make it clear now. I haven't put all the tokens out, I haven't put all the tiles out, I haven't actually built a specific map. It's just a little example and a little kind of layout. Plus, to get everything into the frame, hello, I've had to kind of condense it a little bit. But, talk you through, and hopefully it'll be enough to convey to you how it kind of works. Alright? The first thing that would generally happen is you'll pick your scenario. Okay, so you've got your little scenario cards. As I say, there's a little stack of them. This particular one here has the Enclave and the Brotherhood of Steel as the two factions working at play in the wasteland for your adventure. Then you've got this little tracker down here, and these tokens, which represent the shield and the star, go onto this, and they'll move down. Now, the star in this case refers to the Brotherhood of Steel, and the shield refers to the Enclave. As you complete parts of the adventure and complete story cards, objectives, potentially these start to move down the tracker. Okay? Now, it won't make much sense to you at the minute, but if you've declared allegiance to one faction or another, the difference between these two markers on the tracker will count towards your reputation points. One of the main objectives of the game is that each of the players is trying to build their reputation in the wasteland to become, a famous somebody rather than a nobody. And by joining one of the factions, it's another way of gaining reputation points towards the 8-point total. Okay? Now, how do you join a faction? Maybe now's a good time to mention that. Everyone gets an agenda card. These are the little cards with the thumbs up. There are a variety of things on these cards, and you can gain more of them, but you can only ever have 4. Each agenda card is worth a point of reputation. So if you had 4, you're halfway. But by carrying out what the agenda card has on it, you normally gain something else, and it's usually more reputation. One of the options is specific cards allow you to declare a loyalty at the start of your turn to one faction or another that's operating in the wasteland. Why would you do that, aside from the points value? Certain situations might arise where the factions at play will also be represented on the board. Now, they'll normally be represented by tokens for their faction. These are still people, and the stats for those people are represented by the 2 creature tokens that are on the story card. Okay, that's not counting creatures which you'll encounter in the wasteland anyway. Now, that's the story card. On the back of the story card then is the setup criteria and the map that you'll use, both the tiles that are turned over and then the pattern that you'll randomly distribute the other tiles onto the board for discovery. In this instance, there's also a quest marker, these little chaps here, and this quest marker is being put onto the map, and that'll be relevant to part of the story too, which will become clear as you start to play it. Now, I think now is as good a point to jump to kind of how that story progresses. The start of this mission tells us to set up with a particular numbered card, stage 044, and each of the event cards is numbered. Okay, so it's a bit like one of those make your own adventure books, you know, where you do a thing and it says if you choose to go left, go to page 23, if you choose to go right, go to page 24. Similar sort of thing here, in that you'll have an intro to the quest, objectives, and usually an option for what objectives to try and complete to finish or close that part of the story. And anyone who does any one of those then activates the bottom bit, which is to produce more cards. In this case, it tells us to trash a particular card and to now turn over another card. And it says to play, in this one it says to place a shield on Project Purity. That's just to let you know, obviously, that they now control that area. This isn't the map for this, it's just an example. So as you complete these, and you have any choice of what objectives to try and complete, usually at the end there's a condition to go through one of the decks, usually this deck, to find the next story card. Sometimes it's 2 cards, sometimes it's 3 cards. When those are in effect, doesn't matter who the active player is, everybody can work at completing any of those objectives. You're not working together, you're kind of doing your own thing. Okay? Now, the tiles themselves. Let's jump to that next, because I think that makes sense and it'll tie in them with a couple of their cards. Some of the tiles are double-sided, as we say, some of them are single-sided. In this case, these ones are single-sided and they're unexplored. We'll pull up this tile because this is quite a good example of a tile in general. This is a double-sided one. But what it is giving us here is a lot of information. You can see already the tile is divided into sectors. Okay? Now your movement value allows you to move through sectors. Say you've got a movement value of 2 for sake of argument, and you wanted to go over here because you want to head off in that direction. That would cost you 1, 2 to get into there, and that'd be one of your actions complete. Equally, you could go 1, 2 like that. If you're at the edge of a tile and you're wanting to explore, you spend one of your actions to be allowed to flip a tile, and each tile has a directional arrow so that you know what way to put it up. And again, it doesn't matter who reveals the tile, anyone can now move into that area. Now, the next thing to sort of bring to your attention with regards to tiles, and actually, you know what, I'm going to just move this and come back to this tile, because this is a good example. You'll notice we've got 2 other symbols here. The little sort of caravan symbol, hopefully you can see, and a little sort of ruin. Those refer to 2 more event decks, the settlement deck and the wasteland deck. By going to these places, you have the opportunity to draw those event cards, and there'll be different kind of options, different people that you encounter, different stories, little subplots and things like that there, which again is a mimic to what goes on in the computer games themselves. The numerical value you'll maybe see here, 4 and 3. Different settlements will have different numerical values. And that just seems to be a contrivance within the game, that some quests will tell you to go and do an event at a specific sort of level of settlement. And the numerical value is just to make those settlements seem to be tiered in some way. And to stop you just going to the nearest one, you have to kind of go and hunt somewhere. Usually you're looking for specific places, or it's trying to tell you to find somewhere of a certain technological value, maybe, something like that. You should be able to see here as well that we've got a couple of our symbols on the board in grey. These refer to starting points or spawn points for NPCs. In this case, we have the bio symbol, which is usually symbol for a mutant, a biological threat, super mutant brute in actual fact. And over here we've got a skull, which usually refers to somebody human, and we've got raider scum. The other symbols that are involved are the robot. Guess what's there? That's right, robots. We've got bugs, and we've got beasts as well. Regardless of what type of creature it is that you encounter, the anatomy of the NPC cards is all pretty much the same. We will have a little bit of a picture to give you a flavour for what it is you're up against. Its title. We'll have its hit points value and the experience that you'll get for it. We'll have a little body symbol like the VATS that tells you where you have to hit them in order to wound them and thus kill them. And then in the yellowed off area, it'll tell you if there's anything else that you get. In this case, as well as this guy moving fast or coming in for an attack, he has a booty. Yeah, buddy, you know. My brain's just lost the word I want. Swag. We'll use swag. The loot. There we go. Loot that you get from killing him. So when you would kill a target card, if it has something like this, you'll put up your experience. Your experience is marked along this track, and it's worth explaining on its own, so we'll come back to the experience and do that sort of separately. And the loot cards then are all marked with the swag bag on the back of them as well. Sometimes it's cool stuff, sometimes it's absolute junk. There is a limit to how much stuff you can carry, but again, we're going to come back to that when we talk specifically about the character card itself. The other thing that you'll see here is we've got a stack of cards with the cap symbol on it. This represents the marketplace. When you're in the appropriate type of settlement, you'll have access to the market. There's always 4 items out in display on the market. Sometimes you'll get little fancy cards that allow you to change that around or draw new things or go through the discarded pile or whatever. But you can spend bottle caps to buy anything that's on show and add it to your itinerary as well. Other tokens that you're maybe looking at here that we haven't then covered just before we move on. We've already got the quest markers. We've already got our faction symbols. We have the special tokens. The special tokens, and we'll go into it in more detail, these are for going into your character card. And they are how you sort of help stagger your experience points. Slows you down, but also gets you more cool stuff as well. We have our perk cards. We've got armor cards. Perk cards are again relevant when it comes to leveling up your character. And some of the cards will slot into the bottom of your character card as well. And then there's the little cards that refer to the specific player characters. Everyone gets a little sort of starting off thing that represents the character that they are. Got our bottle caps. We've got 5s and 1s. We have our perk tokens, just like in the game. Doesn't work quite like in the game, but they've done the best that they can with that. Perks, or not perks, sorry, trait tokens. So you still have your things like idolized and vilified and synth and super mutant stuff like that there. When you gain or earn these will go into these little markers. They are sometimes reversible. Some of them have a lock symbol, which means they can't be reversed. You can get rid of them if you play a card that allows you to discard. Oh, just realised, forgot to mention one thing about killing these guys. These guys will be activated by a move, usually by a symbol at the bottom of the story cards each time a new story card's drawn. They'll normally move towards the nearest or the weakest survivor that's on the board. When they are killed at the end of their turn, the same type of creature from its stack is replaced with a new one. The dead one goes to the bottom of its character type stack, and in the next activation phase they sort of respawn and come back to life. So there's always going to be NPCs. They might not always necessarily move, but they will always be there. And certainly if you go into the square, you know, you can have at them, they'll have at you. You can avoid a fight too. You can move past them. If they're not being active, you can move past them without too much of a threat there. Because they're randomly drawn, you can end up very early in the game with quite a hard character, an NPC that you just cannot take, and off you go. And that, I suppose, brings us to doing stuff, and doing stuff is generally done with the dice. The dice have a number of symbols. They do represent the vats, largely speaking, so they've all got body locations. So when you're doing combat or certain tasks, you'll be told to roll, and you're looking for a certain number of body locations. When you're shooting at somebody, there's little cog symbols on these dice as well, or when you're fighting someone. By consequence, that the body symbol is the damage you will do to them, the cogs become the damage that they will do to you, and you'll nearly always take some form of damage. Okay? The worst you can take 6. There are things that allow you to do re-rolls. There's your specials and things like that there if you have it allow you to do re-rolls. And usually when you're completing quest objectives or event challenges, you'll be rolling dice and looking to get a certain number of cogs, or get less than a certain number of cogs to be successful in your task. I think at this point we've kind of covered what all these are. Did I mention these two quest decks? Don't think I did. 109 and 084 with the cogs in the back of them, they are quest decks specifically for 2 bunkers that you can end up that you can end up finding depending on the scenario that you're playing. So there's Vault 84 and Vault 109 that can be found and explored. The decks aren't particularly big, but there's quite a few little story options on them. Because of that nature of making your choices and you know, opting for different cards to be drawn, there does seem to be a reasonable aspect, a reasonable hope for replayability of even scenarios that you've maybe done once or twice before you might start hitting a situation where you're doing the same thing over and over again. Okay, yeah, so the character card. I particularly like this part of the mechanics, this part of the game. Basically, this is where you track everything. So, in its simplest form, you've got the special slots up here. You can just about see it in the camera, the faded out letters, and then as these little tokens are won and put in, they spell out the word special. Now, that essentially stands for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Okay? As you gain more of these, you'll draw from there's a much bigger pile in this obviously, but you'll draw these face down, see what you've got, and you'll slot them in as you get them. Now, if at some stage you draw a letter, and now you have to actually try and find one. Yeah, that's right, we'll stick that one in, okay. It's your turn to draw one because you've killed something else, you've leveled up. So you draw, and you've already got the letter. What you can do is you can chuck it back in, and instead of getting a letter that time, you get to draw one of the perk cards. Okay, so you remember the perks in the game system. Obviously there's more of a limit to them in this, and certainly in the way you level up, that you're not going to be, it's not the computer game, okay? It can't be the computer game, so banish that from your head. It's like a homage. So basically this tracker is for your experience points. As you kill stuff and get the experience points, you'll move this up. Now, whenever you first start the game, you'll only have one letter in there, the one that you're awarded at the start. So let's say you get 2 experience points. You'll go 1, okay, because you've got a letter in here, so that's where you stop. And 2 is you stop at the end. Next thing you kill, say you get 2 more points, you'll go 1 and 2. But as soon as you get to here, stop, because you've leveled up, you've gone right round. So you've drawn our letter. Oh, what have we got? Oh, we got I. It goes in here. We still got another point to go, and he would come up to there. Now, the next time he tops something, gets another experience point, he'll go to there. So as you fill in these letters, you you slow down in leveling up. You get less opportunity to draw them, so you'll get less perks because you'll not be drawing these tokens as much. So you will hit a cap, because once it's in, that's it. You know, you can't go anywhere else. And if they're playing with a full team of players and they're all gone, they're all gone. So you want to try and get killing stuff early to get leveling up as quickly as you can, to try and clock up as many perks as you can and get a little bit of an edge over some of your opponents as well. Their hit points and your radiation. On the map there's red zones. Grab one of the tiles just quickly to show you. There's red zones and there's green zones with radiation. So if you're in these areas and you end up taking the radiation, your peg starts going down like that there. As you take hit points, your peg starts going down like that there. Okay? If these two ever meet, you're dead. Oh no! Panic not, you respawn. You respawn back at the starting point for whatever the starting point is for the map that you're currently playing. Okay, so that's kind of cool too. Then, as we say, you've got your trait tokens. When these are awarded, or if you awarded, sometimes they're not. They're not a blessing. They're a curse. They'll go in there. So you're gonna have active. You're gonna have sort of 3 traits. As I think I mentioned earlier, some will end up with a lock symbol, which means you can't just flip that, because you'll do certain actions which will allow you to flip a trait easily. So you know, if you happen to be there's, you know, if you're idolized. Well, the easiest thing that can happen to somebody who's idolized is they're vilified. You can't just flip from vilified. You will have to do a quest. You will have to do something kind of cool that allows you to get rid of being vilified like that, because it's a lockout. Same if you're a super mutant. Well, if you've got the super mutant trait, you are a super mutant. Yeah, good luck with that. Storage then. You've got your backpack, your itinerary. And then you've got 3 areas on the card. One has a clothing symbol, one has a hand symbol, one has a little person waving. Basically that is clothing and armor, that is weapons, and this is allies, be it a dog, companions, things like that there. And then your backpack. You can have up to 3 cards in your backpack. These are active, these are in storage. And at certain points you'll have the opportunity to sort of rejig that and swap cards out from your backpack. You can also sell and trade things with other players and at the marketplace to get caps, and you can get rid of stuff to make space in your backpack for other things you might find. If at any time you have surplus cards, you have to get rid of them. So it's a bit like you're being overloaded or overburdened and you can't carry the stuff off. You have to go with it. I just think this is quite nice. It's quite straightforward when you're using it. I love the XP system and just the way it clocks up, and as you're getting better, so you slow down. You know, you have to do more stuff and kill more stuff to get more experience points. Now, what's the purpose of these letters? I can't remember if I mentioned it in either of the previous segments that we talked about, but whenever you get stuff, okay, whenever you actually get things, why can I not see the deck of cards? There we are. So whenever you get things, there are certain cards are going to have letters on them, okay, like this. Try and find you a couple more. Those are all the same letter. P and A, I. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, you're starting to see that coming through there now, especially on the likes of the weapons. Okay. Different things that you get, different people that you meet, different tasks that you have to perform, will sometimes call upon your inherent skills. And if you have these letters that are relevant to the card, it means that whenever you do your dice attacks, if it isn't successful and you've got, you know, your PUA, whatever, if you're using the gun, you can get rerolls, and the more letters you have that correspond with the letters in the cards, the more free rerolls you get. So the better you get, the more shooting you do. So it's a bit like, again, to my mind, it's a bit like the VATS thing. It's you doing your multi-fire, doing your multiple chances at fixing things or getting better at doing stuff. I just think that's kind of cool. I like it. So there you go. That's I think everything on that. So that's it, kids. That pretty much summarizes Fallout. Hopefully giving you enough of an indication. We could probably set it up and walk you through a game if you want. You can let us know in the comments. But, you know, there you go. That's the bits in the box, a summary of what they all do, a summary of how they work together. That's pretty much the gist of the game. We've enjoyed it. That's the thing. It's not the best game ever. Far from it. But for a fantasy flight, it's got the right kind of flavour. It's not overburdened with loads and loads of parts that don't make sense. Everything seems to fit quite well in together. It has got its frustrations. So far, we haven't found a great way of getting a lot of caps in the game, so our ability to buy stuff in the market has been quite limited. We've had 3-4 games in so far. We know we're still on the learning curve for it, but we're enjoying it, and we want to keep playing it, and that for us is a big win in terms of, is the game worthwhile? Yes, so far I would still say there are better games, but if you're in that kind of frame of mind of looking something new, certainly if you're a Fallout fan like myself and Simon and I have both enjoyed Fallout, we haven't been disappointed in the experience of this game. As Fallout fans, as board game fans, well, you know, it's middle of the road. It's okay. It's not the most wonderful board game, but it is enjoyable. Certainly passed a couple hours quite pleasantly. And yeah, we would come back to it. Will we come back to it once we've completed all the scenarios? Don't know. It depends on what else is available. Depends on how we see how those event cards play out. Is there great replayability? It feels like there is at the minute. Let's hope that that pans out and stays the case. Thanks for watching. Hope you found some sort of benefit, use out of that. Maybe it's written it off your lists altogether. It's not your sort of thing. Or maybe now you're a bit more inclined to think, yeah, I'll give this a closer look. Either way, thanks for watching. Been fun doing it. Catch you later. Bye-bye.